It's been a week since I returned from Japan after spending a month there. I'm still processing the entire experience. Visually, Japan is stunning. Clean streets, serene temples, and an aesthetic that burns itself into your memory. But something else came back with me, and it's not the kind of thing you post on Instagram. Before the trip, I didn't just pack my bags, I packed my mind. I read blogs, watched hours of travel vlogs, and practiced Japanese phrases on repeat. I learned what not to do, what not to wear, when to bow, and how to express gratitude with the right level of humility. I also read stories about Japan's issues with racism from BIPOC travelers, and experiences vary. Most of what I found painted Japan as a near-utopia where people are endlessly kind, strangers go out of their way to help you, and the technology feels futuristic. So I cautiously hoped for the best. Apparently, that was too optimistic. The first red flag appeared in a small town in Nagano. I was seated at a round table with some locals. A minute later, they asked to be moved. Awkward, but fine. Then 3 white tourists came in. Suddenly, the server was all smiles, walking them through the menu like it was a Michelin tasting. My food plumped on the table like a passive-aggressive post-it. No words, no eye contact, just the sound of a plate meeting wood. And that wasn't an isolated incident. At another nearly empty restaurant, an East Asian group received table service while we were handed a buzzer. In Tokyo, I watched a South Asian group and a Latin American one both get told, takeout only. Reservation wasn't the issue, as walk-ins after them were seated immediately. Then there was Osaka. We lined up outside an okonomiyaki spot. The staff made eye contact, scanned our faces, and suddenly announced the line was closed. No signs, 2 hours before the stated closing time. As we walked down the stairs, other groups strolled right in. Not a word was said. Even asking for directions was hit or miss. Some people looked right through me, while others walked off mid-sentence. At Namba Station, the info desk was closed, so I asked a ticket agent where to exchange my rail pass. He laughed, literally, and said, "So you know this isn't the right place? Then why are you here?" Very helpful energy. When I asked again, he gave me the wrong location, saying it was downstairs. Turns out, it was a 10-minute walk away in a different building altogether. In Tokyo, I saw a server cheerfully point out the tea dispenser to a Japanese couple. He never mentioned it to us, even though he spoke English. After the meal, I said, "Goshusasama desu hita." He smirked and looked away. It was almost impressive. The pattern became clear. Locals walked into warm greetings, irashimasu, with all the energy of a welcome home. Us, a faint nod if we were lucky. Leaving was just as awkward. The staff rarely acknowledged us, so we turn back, smile, and say, "Arigatou gozaimasu," hoping for even a glance. Most times, nothing. Just silence. At one udon spot, after we finished our meal, we took turns using the restroom. The staff stared at us the entire time, not with curiosity, but with a sharp stare that made us uncomfortable. The place wasn't even busy. You'd think we were shoplifting oxygen. If you're dark-skinned or black, these experiences build up quickly. None of it is loud. No one yells or confronts you. But they don't have to. The exclusion is quiet, calculated, and cold. You're not pushed out. You're made invisible. Polite on the surface, yet distant enough to remind you that you're not really welcome. The racism is passive, but it's there. You see it in the subtle ways your presence is ignored or avoided. It's almost as if your experience depends on your skin tone. By the end, I felt that Japan isn't really trying if you don't fit the ideal tourist image. The floodgates for tourists are wide open, and if your experience is bad, there are 1,000 others ready to take your place. Courtesy becomes selective. Hospitality, conditional. Rules, rigid. I sense that Japan is a society deeply rooted in pride, with humility mostly reserved for the brochure and for those who fit the mold. It often felt like it's their way or no way. That mindset bleeds into the national narrative too. Japan continues to highlight its own wartime suffering, yet there seems to be a remarkable silence, even denial, when it comes to acknowledging its atrocities in places like Nanjing, Taiwan, or its treatment of prisoners of war. In the end, what stayed with me wasn't the temples, the technology, or the scenic views. It was how easily I was made to feel like I didn't exist, over and over again. I've been carrying that weight for weeks now, and I just needed to say it out loud. This side of Japan isn't what you usually see online, but it's real. And it happened to me.